In 1997, the Oscar-nominated movie Donnie Brasco hits the big screen. It stars Johnny Depp as an undercover FBI agent and Al Pacino as a mafia gangster. Consulting on set was none other than the real-life Donnie Brasco, Special Agent Joseph D. Pistone.
When I first was approached about the movie, it was like, who wants to make a movie about me, you know? And then when it became a reality, it was like, wow, you know, they're really gonna make a movie about my case.
But successful though the film was, it actually underplays the enormous impact that the real Donnie Brasco had on the mob. Just one extraordinary thing that the movie doesn't reveal is that the whole operation came about almost entirely by accident. In the 1970s, New York is in the grip of a crime wave, with entire industries controlled by the mafia. Violent truck hijackings are on the up. But no one is sure who is behind them.
Back in those days, a trailer load might be worth $5, $6, $10 million, depending on what the commodity was.
The FBI decide to send someone undercover to investigate the truck hijackings. They select Special Agent Joe Pistone. He has the perfect background for this sort of work.
I grew up in an Italian neighborhood, and, you know, I knew thieves, I knew gangsters growing up. You know, as we say, I was street smart, and my supervisors in the FBI recognized this.
To infiltrate the hijackers, Pistone needs to be credible as a criminal. But as an FBI agent, he is not allowed to commit crimes. So they give him a low-risk cover, a jewel thief.
In the undercover world, as far as the government's concerned, you can't get involved in crimes of violence, and being a jewel thief wasn't a violent profession.
To ensure he can pull it off, Pistone undertakes weeks of specialist training.
You have to know all aspects of your profession. I need to know diamonds, I need to know precious gems, I need to know how to pick locks, I need to know alarms. Finally,
he adopts a new name. Joe Pistone becomes Donnie Brasco. In September 1976, Special Agent Pistone effectively ceases to exist. Donnie Brasco sets off to infiltrate New York's criminal underworld, putting his entire family life on hold for the sake of the agency. He has no idea that he won't return for 6 years. Donnie Brasco starts hanging out in places used by suspected truck hijackers.
The idea was for me to frequent these establishments, get known, and hopefully get into conversation with individuals.
At first, Donnie takes it slowly.
You can't approach them and say, hey, you know, I'm Donnie Brasco, I'm a jewel thief. You have to hopefully get into a conversation with somebody that's associated with them and cultivate that individual, and then hope that leads you to the individual that you're targeting.
After several months, Donnie tests the waters with a bartender he has seen making deals. He tells him he has some merchandise to sell. The bartender says he might know someone who could be interested.
I just hand him an envelope and say, hey, I need X amount of money for this envelope. He doesn't ask me what's in it, takes it.
A few days later, the bartender comes back with a wad of money. This is Donnie's first break into the criminal underworld. The bartender turns out to have a wide range of criminal connections.
So now he knows that I'm a jewel thief. He starts to introduce me around as Donnie the jeweler.
And one of these introductions pushes the operation to another level entirely. "4 months since going undercover, Donnie reports some major progress to his case officer. He has made contact with someone suspected of organizing truck hijackings, a man known as Jilly.
Jilly Greco ran a crew that were hijackers and just general thieves.
But the real breakthrough is who Jilly Greco works for. He is what criminals refer to as a made man.
If you hear the term, he's a made man, he's a straightened out guy, he's a wise guy, he's a friend of ours, these are made members of the mafia.
A minor truck hijacking operation suddenly becomes a case against the biggest criminal organization in America. Back at New York's FBI offices, Donnie's connection to Jilly is big news. The American mafia is at the height of its powers, allegedly worth over $10 billion a year. It claims to be bigger than General Motors, Chrysler, and US Steel combined. Jilly is a member of the Colombo family, one of the 5 mafia families which run New York.
It was a big game changer. Suddenly the FBI thought we can actually penetrate one of the mafia family.
Donnie is asked to drop the truck hijackers and to infiltrate the Colombo family. To do that, he must become close to Jilly, what the mob call an associate.
Each made member will have an associate that he's responsible for.
These were non-inducted members. They were wannabes.
An associate is the very lowest rung on the mafia ladder, but it is where Donnie's mission must start. The way to progress is to become indispensable by making money. Donnie starts delivering a steady flow of stolen goods from supposed burglaries.
Becoming an earner was the quickest way of advancing in the mafia. You had to produce.
But as an undercover agent, Donnie cannot commit any robberies himself.
In reality, they were given to me by the government, you know, that was confiscated stuff.
In no time at all, Donnie the jewel thief is proving himself to Jilly.
Maybe every other week I'd bring in some diamonds or precious gems or a couple boxes of watches or whatever.
But then Donnie becomes a victim of his own success. Two other Colombo mobsters, Patsy and Frankie, ask Donnie to come out on robberies with them.
They think, let's work together, but of course, Donnie's an FBI agent. He can't go out stealing things.
Donnie makes his excuses, but those excuses raise suspicions.
So one day Jilly says to me, he says, hey, you know, Patsy's kind of ticked off, and he wants to have a talk about it.
The undercover agent is summoned to a back room. The mobsters lock the door, and Donnie faces his accusers. Jilly Greco acts as mediator. Patsy and Frankie don't believe Donnie's a jewel thief at all. Patsy kicks off the interrogation.
He starts questioning me, you know, well, you say you did stuff in Miami, you did stuff here. Give me the name of guys that you did stuff with.
It soon becomes clear that Donnie is in serious trouble.
Patsy puts a gun on the table and said, Donnie, if you don't convince me you're so good, like Jilly says, you're only going out of this room rolled up in that rug.
With no solid cover story, Donnie has to rely on his FBI interrogation training.
What you try to do is you try to turn it around. I tell him, look, you just got out of jail. How do I know you didn't become an informant? That's why you're out of jail now. You know, I'm not giving you the name of anyone.
But Patsy and Frankie don't buy his story. They start to suspect he might even be an undercover cop.
You know, there's no way out. You're not getting out of there by running. You're getting out of there either being carried out in the rug or by walking out having defeated them.
After 5 hours of arguing, mobster Jilly has heard enough. Donnie hasn't crumbled under the pressure and has stood his ground. Jilly says he believes Donnie.
Jilly said, this is over.
As members of his crew, Patsy and Frankie must respect Jilly's decision. But Donnie still can't drop his guard.
With these individuals, you can't just go up and say, hey, you know, let's shake hands, because that's a sign of weakness.
Now his knowledge of the streets really kicks in. To act as a true gangster, Donnie must get payback for the insult of the past 5 hours. So he does something he thinks no FBI agent would ever do.
The only thing they understand here is some kind of physical force.
Donnie checks out his 2 accusers. One, Patsy, is what the mafia call a made guy, a fully fledged member of the mob.
The rules is you can't lay your hands on a made guy in a confrontation. I can't do anything to Patsy because he's a made guy.
But the other, Frankie, is just an associate, the same mob rank as Donnie. That makes Frankie the only legitimate target for Donnie to lash out against. He must save face. So Donnie hits Frankie.
Patsy's punching me, and he punches me, and I punch Frankie. Because Frankie's not a made guy, so it doesn't make any difference to me.
Jilly eventually breaks up the fight. He is completely taken in by Donnie's performance, totally convinced that no cop would ever act like that.
It showed how tough he was, but at the same time, he knew the rules. And that saved his life.
Jilly now introduces Donnie to a gangster who will help the agent take his investigation to the next level. Another so-called made man, Tony Mira. What intrigues Donnie is that Mira is not a member of the Colombo family. He is from a different mafia family altogether, the Bonanos. This is news to the FBI. They had always thought that the different New York families, like the Bonanos and Colombos, were enemies.
They thought each of these families was an actual rival and they were fighting each other.
But it is clear that Jilly and Mira share business interests. Donnie suspects that there could in fact be extensive collaboration between different mafia families. To find out more, Donnie offers his services to Mira. Yet within a few months, it dawns on Donnie that Mira is a dangerous man to know. Even by the standards of the mafia, Tony Mira is a raging lunatic.
Mira is known as a knife man. If he gets into an argument with you, you'll be stabbed. He could erupt at any minute.
He was probably the meanest guy I ever dealt with in the mafia. But he was cuckoo, he was crazy. I mean, he'd fly off the handle in a second.
Terrified Mira could one day turn on him, Donnie needs an out. He focuses on one of Mira's connections, another Bonanno mobster, Lefty Ruggiero.
You know, they called him Lefty because he was left-handed. He got the nickname Two Guns because I'm told when he went out on a hit, he liked to take two guns.
Though a hardened killer, compared to Tony Mira, Lefty Two Guns is at least sane.
And that's when I start really hanging with Lefty. And you just hang out all day, talk about, you know, scams, schemes, how to make money. And that's basically what the day consists of, you know.
Switching allegiances from the psychopathic Mira to Lefty is potentially a dangerous game to play. But then Donnie gets a break. In late 1977, Tony Mira is sent to prison for 8.5 years on a narcotics conviction.
When Tony Mira was sent to prison, it was a real relief for me because the guy was hard to deal with. I was hoping he never got out.
Now Donnie is a free agent. With Mira out of the way, Lefty does something remarkable. He lays a claim on Donnie.
Once you have a claim, you now belong to this soldier. You know, the same way the soldier belongs to his capo, you belong to him. So this is a chain of command.
Now I officially belong to the Bonanno family.
By now, Donnie's operation is causing a stir back at New York's FBI offices. They are intrigued about the collaboration between different mafia families. Jules Bonavolonte, chief of the New York City FBI Organized Crime Division, takes personal charge of the case.
Bonavolente was a no-nonsense guy. He'd been a second lieutenant in Vietnam and had all the qualities of a brilliant supervisor.
Bonavolonte focuses on Donnie's insight that different mafia families actively work together.
Jules always saw the big picture, how controlling the 5 families were, their relationship with the other families throughout the country, that it wasn't just a localized operation.
He now asks Donnie to find out just how extensive these links might be. Do they even go right across the country?
But his vision was, you know, if we can get into these other families, you know, we should do it.
Donnie is told to embed himself even deeper in the mafia. Bonavolonte's new focus means that what began as a 6-month operation is now extended indefinitely. Donnie's next step is to get close to Bonanno Mafia family mobster, Lefty Two Guns Ruggiero.
Lefty, you might say, was the Bonanno gossip. He talked about everything. Apparently he had the loosest tongue in the family.
Lefty liked to say he was schooling me, and he really was, more than he knew.
He told him the ways of the mafia. Now you're telling an FBI agent this, so this is gold dust.
He tells Donnie that if he can become a fully fledged member of the mafia like himself, he can get away with anything.
And he looked at me, he said, you can lie, you can steal, you can cheat, you can kill, and it's all legitimate. So in their minds, it's legitimate to do these things because you're a member of the mafia.
Even better, Lefty reveals to the FBI the names of senior figures in other mafia families across the United States.
He was telling me who the different individuals were in the family, their positions.
This was a bonanza of intelligence that the FBI never would have gotten in the old-fashioned way from an occasional defector or an occasional bug that might give them some information.
But Donnie hasn't got enough to reveal the extent of different mafia families' collaborations across the United States. So Bonavolonte hatches a plan. He tells Donnie about an FBI operation targeting the Florida mafia family, the Trafficantes. The FBI has a nightclub called the King's Court wired up with hidden cameras and microphones. Could Donnie get one of the Bonanno mafia family down there to meet the Trafficantes? But high-level contacts between mafia families are rare. This is not a meeting that Donnie or even Lefty can set up. The only way is for Donnie to target someone higher in the organization. He focuses on a rising star called Sonny Black Napolitano.
Sonny Black's reputation was a very tough individual, very smart, very cunning, and he was just a very respected mafia guy by everybody within the Bonanno family and the other families.
Sonny Black Napolitano was a cut above the ordinary mafioso. He was a born leader.
Sonny Black is what the mafia call a capo, a high-ranking made member who heads a crew of soldiers, now including Donnie and Lefty.
So it was very prestigious for Lefty and me to get placed under Sonny Black.
Through Lefty, Donnie lets it be known to Sonny that he has a link with a Florida club. This, he suggests, would be the perfect opportunity for the New York gangsters to extend their gambling operations to Florida.
You have to make it attractive in that it's going to make us money. It would be prestigious for him, so that's what I'm selling him.
Sonny loves the idea, but first he needs to get the okay from the Florida mob.
The important thing is when one mob is moving out of its home territory and trying to do business with another mob, you've really got to pay respect to them.
It's such a critical meeting that Sonny flies to Florida in person to meet with the Florida mafia boss, Santo Trafficante, to get official permission for the New York gangsters to operate in Trafficante's territory.
Trafficante had to give approval, or at least be consulted.
And just as hoped, Trafficante agrees. Unbeknown to them, the whole thing is being captured by an FBI surveillance team. These are the actual photographs they took of that meeting. Sonny Black wastes no time and hosts an extravagant gambling night at the King's Court Club. It's a chance to put on a show and impress Trafficante.
We planned to have a big Las Vegas night, and Sonny had sent down roulette wheels. Trafficante had sent us 2 gambling sharks from Miami that were his guys. So we had the whole club set up for this casino night.
A local county cop is paid to turn a blind eye to the illegal gambling. For Donnie, it's an opportunity to shine. For the FBI, it's the moment to hit record and gather proof of illicit business deals between the two crime families. Everything is going well. Cash is flowing in and the gangsters are clearly impressed. But then,
there's a knock on the door, and one of the doormen opens the door and sees a bunch of sheriff's deputies out there.
And they burst in. They shut the whole party down.
it turns out that the bribed cop had let them down. For the FBI, it's a setback. For Donnie, it's a personal disaster. But worse, for top mobster Sonny Black, it's total humiliation.
Sonny was mad. He was mad getting arrested, but he was more infuriated with the embarrassment to Traficani.
Sonny and his crew fly back to New York. Their mood is dark.
Now we had to patch things up with Traficani, and we didn't know if we ever could. I mean, it was a big setback.
Back in New York, the news goes from bad to worse. Tony Mirror, the psychopathic mobster who introduced Donnie to his mentor, Lefty, is released from jail early. He believes Donnie belongs to him.
And now is when the jealousy and envy comes out. He thinks that I'm making millions of dollars and that he should be getting some of it.
Mirror meets with Sonny to demand Donnie back. And if he doesn't get him, there'll be hell to pay. Sonny refuses to hand Donnie over. Mirror is so incensed, he contacts senior members of the Bonanno family, accusing Donnie of breaking mafia law.
He says that I stole $250,000 from the family.
It's a trumped-up charge. But if the family believe Mirror, Donnie is a dead man.
To steal from the mafia is a cardinal sin, and as soon as the mafia hear of that, you will be killed.
A sit-down is called, the mob's equivalent of a trial. The judge and jury are senior members of the Bonanno family. As a mere associate, Donnie is not even allowed in the room. He must rely on his capo, Sonny Black, to represent him.
Now I'm kind of concerned because, and if Sonny loses the sit-down, they're going to kill me.
The sit-down opens with Mirror presenting his case. Donnie has stolen from the family and deserves to die. Donnie waits at home nervously.
You just have to wait out. If it's good, then they come and tell you. If it's bad, then it's bad.
During breaks in the sit-down, Lefty calls Donnie and updates him. These are the actual recordings. They show just how great the danger Donnie is in.
There's a swindling bastard.
That's right, he is.
He wants you bad.
Well, when's this thing all gonna end with this
It
guy?
ain't gonna end. Forget about it. No, you're not so. A lot of trouble.
The only good news is that Sonny Black is still backing him.
Well, how does Sonny stand tonight with us?
Where's he stand? He's not giving you up. Not giving you up. And don't forget, he said the extra 3 hours, you know, over you.
After almost 4 weeks, the final verdict comes in. Thanks to Sonny Black, Donnie is in the clear.
Sonny's got on a limb for me. To defend me is a big deal because he's going against other captains and he's saying that he vouches for me 100%.
This extraordinary moment is never mentioned in the film, but proves to be a big turning point in the relationship between Sonny and Donnie. Sonny now considers Donnie a close friend. The two men start regularly socializing together, even hanging out at Sonny's Brooklyn apartment.
Sonny Black took him under his wing. He had this very one-on-one relationship, and he really confided. And he had conversations with him which weren't just about mob talk, but about life in general.
Here's one of the most powerful guys in the Bonanno crime family. And we're sitting at his kitchen table in our underwear and T-shirts, BSing about mafia business.
Sonny Black is not like any other gangster Donnie has met. For a start, he has an unusual hobby, pigeon racing.
They love those pigeons. It's like, this isn't what you see on television, you know?
But Donnie has to remember that this man is still a vicious criminal and killer.
Despite the close relationship, it still wasn't a life insurance policy. One mistake, one wrong move, and you're whacked.
Sonny calls Donnie to a private meeting. The undercover agent has no idea what could happen. One thing that is completely unexpected is what Sonny is about to ask him.
Sonny told me that the books were gonna open up in December, and what that means is that the mafia was gonna induct members. I would become a main member, get inducted into the Bonanno crime family.
For an FBI agent to be given the offer of becoming made is completely unprecedented.
That made me feel great because now he really believes in me as a gangster.
But Sonny's offer comes with a condition. The family are having trouble with another Bonanno mobster called Bruno Indelicato. Sonny wants Donnie to take care of him.
Sonny Black gives me a gun and says, I'm giving you the contract to kill him.
How Donnie reacts to this request is critical.
I said, all right, because you can't refuse. I can't say no. Because if you refuse a contract, then you get killed.
But as an FBI agent, Donnie clearly can't commit a crime. He puts in an urgent call to his boss, Jules Bonavolonte.
I called Jules. I tell him, I said, Jules, I just got the contract to kill Bruno.
Bonavolonte calls an emergency face-to-face meeting.
He decided this was far enough. It was getting too dangerous.
But Donnie is desperate to keep the operation alive.
Can you imagine the publicity for us that they were dumb enough to have a guy 6 years and then induct him into the mafia?
He comes up with a plan. He won't actually kill Bruno Indelicato. He will just make it look like he whacked him. But his boss doesn't buy it. It's just too dangerous. They should quit while they're ahead.
So now Jules says, no, you can talk from now until the cows come home, but you ain't convincing me. It's over. It's over.
It would have been on Jules' conscience if anything had happened to Pistone.
Operation Donnie Brasco is pulled. Special Agent Joe Pistone is sent into hiding, and the FBI roll up the operation. It's time for the agency to reveal their hand. On July 28, 1981, FBI agents pay a visit to Sonny Black's Brooklyn bar. They reveal that Donnie Brasco, the man Sonny intended to induct into the mafia, is in fact an undercover FBI agent.
At first, when the FBI agents tell him, he just doesn't believe it.
He could not accept that he had been dealing for years with an FBI undercover agent, that Donnie Brasco was a plant.
Slowly, the reality dawns on Sonny. He has committed the worst possible crime in mob law. He has welcomed the enemy into the heart of his family. There can only be one sentence for this transgression: death. The FBI offer Sonny a way out. Become an informant and help them snare the very top rungs of the mafia. They give him time to think it over. Sonny goes up to his roof. These are the real surveillance pictures of that moment.
And you can see on his face that he knew he was in trouble. He knew he probably wasn't going to make it.
It must have really ripped him apart that he had put so much trust into Donnie Brasco. It actually treated him almost like a brother, that he had really knew that he had committed the most hateful sin and error possible.
The FBI maintains surveillance on Sonny's apartment, awaiting his next move. But then he vanishes. The only sign that Sonny may still be alive is when his girlfriend contacts Donnie.
Sonny said to her, "I want you to get in touch with Donnie and tell him that I loved him and that he was better than us. And he never made us do anything that we wouldn't do anyway." I mean, here's a guy that knew he was going to die. He wasn't laying the blame on me. So yeah, that gave me a lot of respect for Sonny as a man.
Later, an informant reveals Sonny Black's fate. 2 weeks after he learns Donnie's real identity, he is summoned to a sit-down.
Sonny Black did go out like a real pro. Before he left for the final meeting, he knew the death warrant had been signed.
Before setting out, Sonny puts his affairs in order.
Gives the bartender his keys, his money, and this diamond ring, and says, "I'm going to a sit-down, and I probably won't be coming back." I mean, that's a gangster.
First bullet winged him. He wasn't dead. He said, "Hit me again and make it good." A real classy line.
Sonny's corpse washes up off Staten Island. His hands have been cut off.
It was a signal. Anybody in the mafia knew what that meant. It meant he had betrayed the mafia. He had shaken hands with an FBI agent. And this was it could be no more worse sin.
Thanks to Donnie Brasco's undercover work, dozens of mobsters are immediately arrested, including Lefty Ruggiero. Tony Mirror is less lucky. He is shot dead by his own cousin. As for Special Agent Joseph D. Pistone, he spends the next 6 years in court testifying against the American mafia. But his undercover work devastated more than just the New York Bonanno family. His testimonies helped bring down the mob right across the United States and abroad.
It came as a real shock, and the ramifications for the mafia were tremendous. 235 members of the mafia were convicted as a result of what he did.
What we did was convict the upper echelon, not just the soldiers. We brought it to the point where now it's just another organized crime group in the United States. It doesn't control the country like it did.
No one has ever done the damage in one fell swoop to the mafia that Joe Pistone did.
His reward from the FBI is just $500. But the mafia also has a reward in mind.
They put a $500,000 contract out on me, murder contract. And although they don't usually go after law enforcement, the reason that they put the contract out on me was they thought that I had crossed the line, and being that I had broken bread with them, I had became their friend.
To this day, the bounty still stands. FBI agent Joe Pistone lives under a secret identity.
It was just my job, that's the truth. Use one of their phrases, it's strictly business. They had choice to be gangsters, I chose to be an FBI agent, strictly business.